If you're feeling overwhelmed with managing behavior, you don't want to miss this. Let's dive right in here. Welcome back to the Teacher RockStar podcast, a podcast that's dedicated to providing powerful insights, practical tips, and proven strategies to ensure that new teachers are successful in the classroom. I'm your host, Steve Hiles, and today I have a game changer for you. Let me ask you this. What if I told you that one small shift in how you speak to your students could drastically improve behavior, engagement, and even your own stress levels? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, I tested it for a month, and I'm here to share exactly what happened. Classroom management is by far one of the biggest struggles for new teachers. When students are off task, talking over you, or just not engaging at all, it's easy to fall into the trap of constant corrections and consequences. But what if there was a better way? I decided to test one simple strategy for 30 days: positive narration. Instead of calling out misbehavior, I focused on reinforcing the students who were doing the right thing, and the results, they were more surprising than I had expected. If you're feeling overwhelmed with managing behavior, you don't want to miss this. Let's dive right in here. Now, there was a time I found myself frustrated with constant classroom disruptions. Students talking over me, disengaged, and just a general lack of focus. Sound familiar? I needed a strategy that was simple, effective, and easy to implement without overhauling my entire teaching style. So I committed to one change for 30 days, using positive narration consistently. If you're not familiar with it, positive narration is when you verbally acknowledge students who are doing the right thing instead of focusing on those who are not. Instead of calling out misbehavior, I would say things like, for example, I love how Sarah is tracking me with her eyes. Or Chris and Jamie have their materials ready. Awesome job. Another one. I see so many students showing respect by raising their hands. Simple, right? But here's the real question. Did it actually work? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. That first week felt rather kind of awkward. I was so used to redirecting behavior with, hey, stop that, or we don't do that here in this class, that shifting my focus rather kind of felt unnatural. At first, my students didn't seem to notice much. Some even tested the waters, like, oh, so he's only going to praise the good stuff. Let's see how far we can push this, kind of thing. But then something started to happen. The students I praised sat up straighter. They smiled. They stayed on task longer. And the students who weren't on task, well, they slowly started adjusting their behavior without me ever having to call them out. Are you a teacher who finds yourself drowning in the challenges of classroom management? Do student behaviors leave you feeling overwhelmed and drained at the end of each day? Picture this: a classroom where your students are not just present, but fully engaged, focused, and eager to learn. Say goodbye to classroom management stress and hello to success. The Teacher RockStar Academy course is meticulously designed to equip you with the tools and strategies needed to skyrocket your effectiveness as a teacher. Curious to know if the Teacher RockStar Academy course is the missing piece in your teaching journey? If you're ready to reclaim control of your classroom and witness the incredible impact on your students, then use the link in the podcast description to learn more about this program. By week 2, I noticed something even more interesting. Students began seeking out positive reinforcement. They wanted to be the ones that were actually getting noticed. I also started layering in silent signals. For example, a thumbs up, a nod, even just eye contact to reinforce good behavior without stopping my instruction. And guess what? My redirections dropped by almost a half. I was no longer managing behavior, I was encouraging it. Now, week 3 was when things really clicked. My most challenging students started participating more. Transitions became a whole lot smoother. I felt less exhausted because I wasn't constantly correcting. One student even told me, Mr. Howes, I like it when you notice what we're doing right. It makes me want to keep doing it. Boom. That right there told me everything that I needed to know. And I have to tell you, by the 4th week, positive narration had completely shifted my classroom culture. My students felt seen and appreciated. Engagement increased without me having to force it. My stress levels went way down. It was a real big thing here. And you want to know what the real kicker was? I wasn't just changing student behavior. I was changing my own mindset as well. I realized how often I had focused on what students were doing wrong instead of what they were doing right. This strategy didn't just improve my instruction, it improved me as a teacher. So what is my takeaway to you? If you're struggling with behavior management, I challenge you to try positive narration for just 1 month. Stick with it, be consistent, and watch what happens. I think you will see a transformation in your class, no doubt about it. Now, before I go, I want to hear from you. Have you tried this strategy before? Or do you have a go-to classroom management hack that worked wonders? Send me a message and let's keep the conversation going. Well, my friend, that's it for this episode. We'll see you same time, same place next week. And remember always, you got this.
You've been listening to the Teacher RockStar podcast with your host, Steve Hiles. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast as much as we have. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our ever-growing community of Teacher RockStars. Until then, thanks for listening.